Thank you, Randy. I'm delighted to announce this afternoon the winner of the Jamie Grodsky Prize for Environmental Law Scholarship for 2025. Let me spend a couple of minutes describing to you the purpose of the competition, and then a little bit of time talking to you about Jamie and her work. To commemorate and celebrate commitment to the leading edge environmental research and scholarship of former GW Law professor Jamie Grodsky, the law school has been endowed with the opportunity to provide a prize every year in honor of Professor Grodsky, who passed away in May 2010. The prize honors the excellence and impact of her work. It's designed to use her work as an inspiration for groundbreaking research by GW Law students on significant environmental, natural resources, and energy law issues in the tradition of Jamie's scholarship. The prize, we believe, is a fitting tribute to a remarkable scholar, teacher, colleague, and friend, well known for her kindness, dedication, wisdom, and passion for environmental law. Jamie made her mark as a scholar based largely on the precision and care with which she wrote and constructed her arguments, and the creativity of her proposed solutions to critical and emerging environmental law problems. Among the topics on which she wrote were the following: the impact of genetic and molecular technologies on the law of toxic torts, the use of clear statutory baselines to advance environmental protection goals, and strategies for increasing government oversight of environmental marketing of consumer goods. Her work continues to help spur insights not only in leading environmental law scholars, but also among scientific researchers. Every year I do a little digging to find out where Jamie's scholarship has been cited in the past year, and I always come up with something interesting, and this year is no exception. So this year, Jamie's scholarship was cited in an article in the California Law Review on the market for private certification and labeling programs that are intended to promote consumers with information about the relative sustainability products. Her work was also cited in a treatise on toxic tort litigation. Over the years, Jamie's work has been cited in a wide variety of contexts and places. For example, the New Jersey Supreme Court cited her work on the application of the Freedom of Information Act to electronic records. The Supreme Court of Tennessee cited Jamie in holding that an employer has a duty to use reasonable care to prevent asbestos exposure to its employees and their families. In the Eastern District of New York, Federal District Court cited Jamie's work in allowing tobacco users to seek reimbursement of the cost of medical monitoring from the tobacco companies. These and other references to Jamie's work reflect the diverse nature and interdisciplinary impact of her work, as well as its continuing influence on thought leaders and policymakers in environmental law, policy, and science. And now to the award. The Jamie Grodsky Prize for Environmental Law Scholarship is awarded every year for the best paper written by a GW Law JD, LLM, or SJD student in the field of environmental, energy, and natural resources law. To receive the prize, a paper must be of publishable quality and make a significant contribution to the theory or practice of law in these fields. The criteria for selecting the winner each year include originality of analysis, innovation, depth of scholarship, importance of the environmental issue addressed, and the quality of the writing and analysis. The author of the winning paper has the opportunity each year to publish the paper in the GW Journal of Energy and Environmental Law. This year's judges of the many wonderful papers that were submitted for our assessment were Dina Bate, who is the Assistant Dean for Environmental Law Studies at GW Law, Professor Caroline Seacott, who is a professor of law at the Antonin Scalia School of Law at George Mason University, also a visiting associate professor of law here at GW, And I'm delighted to be able to tell you that Caroline will be joining GW Law on a permanent basis beginning next summer. Giovanna Gismondi, whom you've heard from earlier today, the visiting Associate Professor of Law and Environmental Law Fellow at GW Law, who really took the lead in screening the papers that she thought were best for the rest of us, and myself. The prize is funded by a generous gift from Jamie's father, Dr. Gerald Grodsky, and memorial gifts from her friends on the faculty and elsewhere. We are honored today, as we are each year, to have Jamie's sister, Andrea Huber, join us today for the ceremony. We also want to pay tribute to Dr. Grodsky, an eminent researcher in diabetes at the University of California, San Francisco, who passed away recently. This year's recipient of the Grodsky Award is Coleman Wheeler. There's a lot I could say about Coleman. We've known each other for almost 3 years. He's a third-year law student at GW Law, a member of the Journal of Energy and Environmental Law, a member of the Environmental and Energy Law Association, and an effective altruism fellow. Coleman graduated from Millersville University, summa cum laude, with a BA in Government, Politics, and Law, and a minor in Environmental Hazards and Energy Management. His honors thesis was on COVID-19 and the power of intrastate quarantine. While at GW Law, Coleman has worked as a research assistant for 2 professors that I know of, Professor Dahlia Mitchell and myself. And I'll embarrass Coleman by saying that he is probably the best research assistant I've ever had in 40 years of teaching. He served as a judicial intern in the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's Office of Administrative Law Judges and as a judicial intern for Judge Armando Bonilla on the United States Court of Federal Claims. He spent a summer working as a judicial clerk for Judge Leonard Brown of the Lancaster County Court of Common Pleas. He's also, in his spare time, and I don't know how he has any, an avid backpacker and mountaineer, having climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. He's currently training, as I understand it, to climb Mount Aconcagua in Argentina, whose summit at over 22,000 feet is the highest point in the Western Hemisphere. After graduation, Coleman will be working at K&L Gates, a law firm which has more than 45 offices located in 5 continents. He will work in the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania office, where its environment, land, and natural resources, and energy infrastructure and resources practice is a mainstay of the office. The firm assists its clients with virtually every aspect of environmental and natural resources law, including state and federal regulation, compliance counseling, permitting, administrative appeals, and enforcement defense. So we're quite proud to add Coleman to the stellar list of past Grodsky Prize winners. Let me finally tell you a little bit about his paper. His paper is titled Regenerative Waste: How the Doctrine of Waste Can Incentivize the Adoption of Regenerative Agricultural Practices. The paper focuses on the challenges facing the agriculture industry as a result of climate change. He argues that regenerative agricultural practices can help build resilience to the environmental changes associated with climate change. The problem, as he sees it, is that the financial incentives for transitioning a farm from industrial to regenerative practices are misaligned. And in particular, that most financial incentives don't consider the role of tenant farmers. Coleman therefore recommends that landowners work with tenant farmers to transition to regenerative agricultural practices. But he says they need to resort to property law doctrines of waste if tenant farmers are unwilling to do so. And that, to me, was the most innovative and creative suggestion in the project. So at this point, I'd like to call Coleman forward and award him the Grodsky Prize.
Given time, I'll skip the 10-minute diatribe I had planned for this, but I just feel incredibly lucky and more than anything grateful for getting this opportunity and being awarded this before all of you. And that gratitude extends first and foremost to the Grodsky family, without whom this award wouldn't exist, of course. And also, I'd like to thank Professors Glicksman and Abate for their continuous support throughout this process, and perhaps even more importantly, for tolerating my neuroticism throughout the writing process. And finally, I'd like to thank Professor Dahlia Mitchell, who isn't with us today, but who more than anybody else has contributed to my development of a legal voice and philosophy. So thank you.